And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, always helping you win in any marketplace. Consumer QB Show powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Realty. We're a top 100 ranked real estate team here in Tampa Bay. $2.1 billion in sales out of our 3 offices last year. That's the Ubaldini Group's numbers. And we like to help you win. We like to feature our real estate listings live on air as well. And I want to give a shout out first to Replenish IV Solutions, safe and effective way to restore your body's immune system. Crucial vitamins, nutrients, helping you perform at optimal conditions. Reach out to our friends at Replenish IV Solutions, and they're online, replenishivsolutions.com. We got a hot property compliments of Bill DeVore Real Estate Group up in Western Carolina, 530 Heaton Forest Road. This is a $9 million listing of ours. Beautiful property co-listing with Bill DeVore Real Estate Group, 530 Heaton Forest Road, Cashiers, North Carolina, 8,000 square feet. You got a main house and a separate cottage, 20-acre estate property, beautiful home in the western part of North Carolina, the mountains of western North Carolina. And if you have anybody up there looking for a nice second home or maybe to relocate there, let us know. We'd love to chat with you about that, put you in touch with Bill and his team, set up a private showing for you. 530 Heaton Forest Road in North Carolina. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, we got Alex Lima back in studio, BlackBelt Fitness and Martial Arts. Welcome back.
What's up, buddy? How's it going?
And also the backup quarterback when I'm out of town.
That's it. I told him I was more the running back, bro. I can't throw like you, so you hand me the ball, make something happen.
There you go. All right. Good stuff, man. So, let's talk a little bit. We always talk with Alex here. We talk about, self-defense. We talk about exercise, working out, eating right, different ideas around those areas, personal training. Where do you want to start?
I mean, we can go, the foundation is going to be, we can go with the number one aspect, and this is the one that everybody is going to struggle with, whether it is your fitness regimen, your diet regimen, or just, making your goals come to fruition, and that's going to come to discipline.
Right. Yeah, self-discipline.
That's the number one, man. If you don't actively, and it's something that you have to actively practice. Nobody is like just naturally disciplined. It's an art form that you have to practice, just like your weightlifting form and your diet strategies and techniques.
Yeah.
If you don't have that inside of you, you're going to probably not be disciplined in your fitness regimen. You're not going to be disciplined in your diet regimen,
right?
And your consistency is going to suffer as well.
And it starts young. I think a lot of times too. My dad was a football coach, and he taught us how to compete, and we like to win, and you don't have fun when you don't win, and that's what we did. And, I remember remember Rocky IV soundtrack came out, the old tape that we'd put that tape in his old Dodge truck. We'd drive to the football games, and, we'd be pumped up listening to some of those songs on that CD and that album, I guess. And the discipline, it just makes me think about, like you said. So what can people do if they maybe they're not as self-disciplined, or maybe they didn't have that background, that youth background that maybe you or I had? Maybe they're kind of new to this. What can people do to try to implement self-discipline? Are there some small steps that you can kind of recommend?
Yeah, I mean, well, you touched on a great point there. Listening to the Rocky soundtrack, that'll always get you going, right? But something like that, hype yourself up.
Yeah. Find
ways to hype yourself up, because the reality is most people depend on motivation. They want to be motivated to do something. These girls, they have, my friend's got a wedding coming up, I got to look good for the wedding, right? Or like, man, I'm getting married in a couple months, dude, I got to start, getting in shape.
Yeah.
So they're motivated now for a goal, but motivation will always fade,
right?
Because that goal is going to pass, or you're going to get it, and you're going to be exactly. So when our discipline is what's going to carry you through on the days that you're not motivated,
right?
But sometimes, we're gonna lose focus a little bit, and then I think it's crucial that you find things to find your why, right? We're big on finding our why for things. Find your purpose. Find reasons and ways that work for you to hype yourself up to get you back on track for your goal.
Right.
But don't rely strictly on that. Get back to your discipline train. But when you need a little something to pump you up, like, come on, we all have a playlist. We got certain songs or a certain jam that comes on before we want to hit the big deadlift or something, right?
Yeah.
Find ways to hype yourself up, but you got to do it yourself, man. And you
Right.
want a support system too. You want friends that are rooting for you and want to see you successful as well. But in the end, it's going to come down to you. You have to
Right.
be able to hype yourself up and get to business.
You know, one thing that kind of could hype you up, I think, is that open southern border that we've got. That southern border wide open with drugs and fentanyl and human trafficking going on, gangs coming across, and
Yeah.
you know, we talk. And you know, mutual friend is Thomas King, Florida Firearms Academy. We talked to him on the show, and he says, hey, you know, we've got these off-duty police officers, sheriff deputies, private service providers, former military guys. You know, a lot of stuff that happens right here in Tampa Bay. You don't see it on Bay News 9 or whatever. You see it, you hear about it from these different folks. And I mean, there's all types of carjackings that go on. People
yeah.
kick your door down. They'll try to rob you coming out of the mall. So self-defense, I think, is something that we, especially as men, you know, if we can still say that, you know, masculine, right? I want to be a man. I'm a manly.
Yeah.
So, you know, as men, we need to be the ones that are going to kind of, you know, carry that flag and run up the hill and be the first one there. So talk to me about like self-defense and what people should do in terms of that.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, it's women as well. But you know, it's not a sexist thing to believe that like it's typically looked to be like the male role to be the protector, because
Right.
it's just the way it's been throughout all of the ages since the dawn of time. As
The
far
way
as
we're
I know,
designed.
we were the hunters, gatherers, and protectors.
Yep.
And we had the women taking care of the babies and making sure everything was safe while we put ourselves, you know, on the line.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with women stepping up and wanting to be, you know, there's some phenomenal female athletes and fighters
Right.
and shooters that are amazing, right?
Absolutely.
Right now, our military and law enforcement. But overall, yeah, I never understand the mindset specifically in men that like you don't take your strength and fitness seriously.
Right.
You at least be in shape enough to protect your child if you had to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying you got to sit on and take an army and fight to the death, but you know, and these things are realistic, so we're not making this stuff up. But like a shooting at a mall or a movie theater or something,
Right.
you have to be in shape enough to at least scoop up your kid and run to safety.
Right.
There's people that they can't run just down the aisle.
Right.
Now you're going to grab your kid and keep them safe, and I think it's a shame. It's a shame, and it's disgusting to me if someone is not capable of doing that to at least protect your child. So there's a motivating factor for people
Right.
if they're looking for a reason to get into it, be in shape, and learn self-defense and stuff. Don't think about yourself. Think about somebody that you care about that you definitely don't want to see hurt. you
Right.
know?
We're talking with Alex Lima here, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, and Alex. So we do some training together, and you know I thoroughly enjoy it. And you're such a great coach and instructor, man. I really enjoy that. Talk a little bit about the opportunities folks have out there. You know, if they wanted to come and visit you at the gym, or what other opportunities.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I'm always humbled when people like what I do. I have a really cool mix right now of different people. I have people with like 15 years boxing experience coming to me and asking me to show them the way I do things, because my methods aren't exactly, you know, orthodox for traditional boxing. They're for full, you know, mixed martial arts situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I train adults and children. I'm doing a lot of work with Title Boxing right now. I also do off-site training. People can reach me for private lessons and one-on-ones, or they can come check out a group class with me as well. So.
Yeah, and that's at the Title.
Well, just anywhere. You can call me
Anywhere.
813-426-1588, and as long as it's within a certain radius, I will actually come to you and bring mats and do training with you. You know, I have a studio, a small studio that a select few, usually more advanced fighters and people I've known for a long time, but the people I bring into my studio.
Yeah.
And then I do a lot of off-site stuff with Title Boxing, and I have some things in the works too that should be really good soon too.
Yeah. Back in the day too, when I was a personal trainer, I mean, gosh, 25 plus years, 30 years, I would think, you know, somewhere around there is, you know, a lot of people have their own workout facility at their condo that they live or apartment, so you can go and do on-site workouts with people too.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I've done a lot of that. I've had somebody. I had somebody actually a couple months back. This girl reached out to me and she was like kind of skeptical. She didn't want to go do like a big class setting, and she wasn't ready to do like, you know, boxing, kickboxing stuff. And I said, well, what do you want? But she was wanting to lose weight. She wanted to learn how to get into this life.
Yep.
And I was like, well, do you have any workout equipment at home? She's like, well, I have a gym in my complex. And I'm like, okay, so you have a gym. Let's
There you
utilize it. So I actually, I came out and did like 2 sessions with her, just showing her how to use her equipment efficiently
Right.
in the house. I mean, I can do that for you as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's all about the form that you use, utilizing the
Oh,
right
it's all
muscles.
about technique.
Yeah,
And
technique,
utilize your
yeah.
resources. If you have a gym, use it.
Yeah.
If you have a book bag, put some books in it and lift it. I mean, you can literally work
Yeah.
out with a chair and a bag
Right.
and get a session in.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the even like the senior workouts. It's like
Yeah.
little, simple stuff. We're talking with Alex Lima here, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts, private. He can do private sessions. Reach out to the hotline 813-917-1894. You can call or text the hotline 813-917-1894. So martial arts is your background. Talk to me about your passion there with martial arts.
It's funny. It's just was just a way of life. I kind of don't know anything else. I started off as a kid, real small. I was just, it's hard to remember that far back sometimes, but I always say I was 4 turning 5. So I was around 5 years old when I took like my first like real like traditional training class. But prior to that, I thought I was a Ninja Turtle. I would throw kicks and punches in the room, watch Rocky and, punch my pillows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was always had an interest of the person that trained hard and fought like, against, the bigger bully or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I grew up in a, relatively, not relatively, it was a tough neighborhood. It's still this day, it's a pretty bad neighborhood in West Tampa.
Yeah.
And, I was bullied. People were very mean and it was very physical. And believe it or not, even at the elementary level, I had to deal with like gang members and stuff like that, or affiliates anyways, because,
Right.
These kids a lot, and this is something that's probably not touched on a lot in schools as well, even at a very young age, like even though like, we're not going to say an 11-year-old, but they could be, but like a 9 or 8-year-old is a gang member, but they could have an older sibling that is in that lifestyle right now, and they're watching that and they think that they're like their bigger brother or their bigger sister or whoever, and they start doing those things. So you have these people trying to prove that they can follow in those footsteps.
Yeah. Well, there was an 11-year-old that I saw on Tucker Carlson last night or night before, and it was about carjacking in New Orleans. And they're sending these young kids in to do the dirty work and the carjacking, and they know that, they're not going to get tried as an adult at 11, 12 years old. So that's kind of like a free shot for them to go and rape and pillage whatever they get.
That's how they sell it to them. They go, look, you want to be a little G, man, I'm going to hook you up. I'll take care of you. But look, you got to do this for me. And don't worry about it. You won't get in trouble. You're just a kid. And they whisper sweet nothings in their ears, and they're setting they're brainwashing. It's similar to like when someone when like the guerrillas out in South Africa or in Africa, like Blood Diamond type stuff, or even like overseas in the Middle East, where they take the kids at a young age and they brainwash them. Yes. And then they breed them to be these mindless drones, these killers and soldiers. And honestly, like, it's a shame. They didn't choose that life. It was forced upon them. But now, what are you going to do? That reprogramming, man. I don't know if you can fix that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's take a break there. When we come back, I want to ask you a little bit about UFC and some stuff happening on that scene, and Joe Rogan and those types of things coming up. Alex Lima, Black Belt Fitness and Martial Arts, coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Plus, we got a feel-good story of the day. California rescuers save family with baby stranded for 3 days in Tahoe National Forest. We'll be right back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. Any of our listeners out there, we'll offer you a 2% listing for the first 3 callers that reach out to the hotline, 813-917-1894. Call or text the hotline, 813-917-1894. Also, a great opportunity for folks out there looking for a part-time gig, maybe a side hustle, is Keller Williams Real Estate School, powered by Kaplan. Reach out if you'd like more information on how we have a free real estate school for you, online class, get licensed, and start referring business in, or maybe make a new career. 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com for our syndicated radio and TV show on 80 outlets worldwide, consumerqb.com, or our real estate website at platinummvpteam.kw.com. That's platinummvpteam.kw.com. And please follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram, Twitter, Getter, and check out our YouTube channel, Brandon Rhymes Realty. Make it a great day. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show. Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time. Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at ConsumerQB.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We greatly appreciate all that reach out to the show hotline and support the show, and had some really good conversations this past week with some folks calling in, so we greatly appreciate that. We know you're listening, and we greatly appreciate you. 813-917-1894. Brandon Rhymes, and you've also got 80 different categories, 50-plus show partners, CPAs, financial advisors, self-defense experts, all types of great home service providers, great attorneys. If you need an attorney, I got you on that. You just reach out to the show hotline. We got some really good attorneys. 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com. Just check out the website as well, consumerqb.com. You can also email brimes@kw.com. And got a hot listing here in Tampa Bay. This one's at 1605 South Georgia Avenue in Tampa. We got a property in Palmacia/Hyde Park. You can walk over to Bay Shore. Just a nice, beautiful little home here at almost 1,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1605 South Georgia Avenue in Tampa. And you can see all of our real estate listings at PlatinumMVPteam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
All right, so we talk a little bit about local, of course, a lot about local, but we talk a little bit about national numbers, things happening. But I want to just paint this picture for you. I want to play this quick clip here from a podcast I listened to, the War Room, talking about the Purchasing Managers Index. Check this out. It's an international index here, and it's going to tell you a little bit about where we're headed.
So we got some miserable news out again today. By the way, yesterday the stock market absolutely walloped, and then today the terrible news was the Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, widely followed. We talk about it a lot on this show for one reason, because it's done globally with basically the same criteria, so it gives you good apples-to-apples comparisons among countries. Well, the unfortunate reality right now is that among industrial nations, the United States is literally in last place regarding PMIs. This morning, services PMI came out. It was supposed to be at 49, and that would be troubling enough because below 50 is contraction. That's what's known as a diffusion index. If you're below 50, you're in recession. 49 was expectations. Stephen came out at 44. Just an absolute implosion. And by the way, PMI never misses to that degree versus expectations. This is another aspect of this current economic crisis that we're in, that we've talked about on this show, is how wildly the economic data is missing expectations. There are armies of PhDs, people who went to fancy schools like Dr. Navarro to get PhDs in economics, who are very handsomely paid to predict where these data are going to come in, and they are increasingly unable to. Why? Because the Biden economy is so chaotic, it's so unpredictable, it's so unprecedented in so many ways that it's incredibly hard, even for the smartest minds out there in econometrics, to predict where these numbers will lie. But here's the point. 44, Steve, is not just in contraction mode. It is deep, deep recession with the risks, you're exactly right, of 1 or 2 serious policy mistakes tipping us all the way into depression.
So we're talking about depression, and that's that policy, that Purchasing Managers Index, that's a global indice, and U.S. is in last place. That's what really stuck out to me. Like, how can we, we're the exceptional nation on the entire planet, and we're in last place, and we're in contraction mode, which is going to lead to a depression. So it's going to be a deep depression. And then my point is, next, what happens when we are in that depression and we go from recession to depression, and public, has prices off the marks or off off the charts, and you also have people that, maybe there's no food at Publix, maybe there's this supply chain. This could get really bad really fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're having food shortages now. I mean, we're having
baby formula.
Yeah. Eggs. Have you seen the price of eggs lately?
No.
When you go to buy eggs, dude, it's insane. Like I'm gonna try to find some chickens and try to like really start just making. I mean, this is
talk
this
to
is
Will.
nuts.
Will does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it's crazy, and and it's true, and it just seems like the administration and the powers that be keep making these major bonehead moves that just keep like putting us further and further into debt. Have you ever logged in, or any of the listeners, if you've never done it, if you really want some shock factor, Google the national debt clock.
Right, I've seen that.
You've seen it? It's constantly ticking.
It's over 30 trillion now, right?
Oh, we're probably beyond that. I mean, it's insane, especially with the moves we've just made. We just sent $3 billion overseas, 87,000 IRS agents. So we have food shortages. We have kids being literally unsafe, being killed in schools where they're supposed to be safe and being educated.
Yep.
Right. And we're saying, and listen, I feel terrible for what's happening overseas.
Right.
But that's not my fight.
Not our problem.
What I'm worried about is what's going on right here.
Border.
We have to fix this first.
They're worried about the Ukraine-Russia border. We're worried about the southern Mexico border.
Absolutely, dude. I love you, and if you need help with something, I want to help you. But I got to make sure that I'm okay and my family's okay first. My home has to be okay first before you can go off and do other things.
Because your family was from Cuba. Talk a little bit about that. Because I remember what happened. By the way, what happened with Cuba? Weeks ago.
They sweep it under the rug.
Right.
It's not the popular news now. You know how they do it. It's smoke and mirrors. It's one constant distraction after another, while the true agenda is going on in the back. Not to be the conspiracy guy, but
they come true.
It's true.
They're coming true.
Yeah.
So what's the latest with Cuba? Have you heard or seen anything?
I mean, it's still about the same, believe it or not. Relatively, everything that was going on not that long ago, it still is. Like, there's still people living in fear. Little by little, like they've gotten some internet and stuff.
Yeah.
I actually have a family member. It's like a distant cousin. But they are in the bloodline. That just recently went on this insane journey to come here to the U.S. They had to come through South America, go all the way through Mexico, got deported, got sent back, and then had to try to make that journey again before they could touch down and make it onto U.S. soil. I mean, can you imagine how bad things are in your homeland that you're going to trek across multiple countries just to have a chance?
Just to have a chance.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, with no money in the bank, probably nothing, Yeah, exactly. We're talking with Alex Lima, BlackBelt Fitness and Martial Arts here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. All right, so let's talk a little bit about UFC and what's going on there. And then you mentioned Amazon's got this new deal going too.
Yeah, so UFC's got some big fights going on. They just had a massive knockout. It was kind of like an underdog story of Kamaru Usman. He was the welterweight champion, and he's still a phenomenal athlete. He's still a monster. But he just got recently beat by, I don't want to mess up the name in my head, I'm going blank, but I believe it's Leon Edwards, threw a beautiful head kick and took the belt now, so he's the champ. Wow. That's an insane story. Speaking of people that come from the bottom, like this guy was like born in Jamaica, I believe, then went to the UK.
Yeah.
And then another awesome fact out of this is like a Rocky story. He trains like with his home gym in the UK. Where like other people, eventually once you reach a certain level, you're going and you're looking for the biggest trainers around and you're jumping ship and going here and there. He has stayed with his home team, a little small gym, not anymore. Now they're going to be on the map, right, from out of nowhere.
Yeah. And
they just won arguably the biggest mixed martial arts title on the planet.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Pretty crazy. And loyalty. That's something that's rare in life too nowadays.
Exactly. Yeah. Tell us real quick about this Amazon fighting deal. We got about 30 seconds.
So there's an organization actually bigger than the UFC. People just don't know it because the UFC has such a monopoly on the U.S. market. But they're called One Fighting Championship, and they've been having they have big fighters, amazing events, but they have trouble breaking into the U.S. market because of TV deals and stuff like that.
Right.
The UFC locks everything down. Well, they just signed a multi-year deal with Amazon, which I don't know how many millions of dollars they paid for that, but they're going to show 5 fights on Amazon. If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it, and the first one is going to be this Friday at 9 p.m.
Nice.
You're going to see awesome. They do Thai boxing. They do mixed martial arts. They have some bad dudes and females that you've seen in the UFC that are tired of Dana White stuff, jump ship, and they're here now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's interesting, too. We talked about, like, the golf shakeup, too, with the golf, what is that, LIV Live or something, the golfing, all that stuff's happening. So, good stuff, man. Alex Lima, BlackBelt Fitness and Martial Arts. Check him out on his social as well, BlackBelt_Jitsu. And good stuff, man. Fitness, BlackBelt_Fitness. Yeah. All right, good stuff. Thanks for coming in.
Yep.
Taking a quick break, coming back with Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We like to help you win in your buying decisions, making you more street smart here, serving the community as a consumer advocate. And we like to feature our listings as well, help our sellers profit more and sell faster. If you're thinking about selling a property, we would love to talk to you. We do a lot of additional marketing outside of the basic and traditional marketing that most other real estate companies offer. So work with the best here in Tampa Bay, 2803 Safe Harbor Drive in Tampa. This is a $1 million listing of ours in Carrollwood area. It's a gated community, 5,000 plus square foot home with a spiral staircase and a private elevator, granite countertops, new appliances, pool, heated spa, fenced in corner lot, beautiful property at 2803 Safe Harbor Drive in Tampa. One of our $1 million listings from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
All right, we got our friend Diane Vance back on the line. Fairway Independent Mortgage, welcome back.
Hey, good to be back, Brandon. It's nice to be on the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
It kind of throws you off out there when you're trying to figure what time is it.
Yeah, exactly.
When do I call that person? So I'm back and rested again. So it takes a while to get back into the groove of things. And even though I still work, because we're so mobile with our laptops anywhere in the country, so we can go anywhere out of the country even if we wanted to. Not that I want to, but we could.
Yeah.
We are doing great. We're actually following up with a lot. I know you and I talked about this. We're actually following up with a lot of customers that lost out on their housing purchases the beginning of the year, last year, beginning of this year, because they were having to pay higher than the sales price. And we're actually finding now that there's more houses that are in the housing market, more inventory. So if they lost out on that and they maybe signed a 7-month lease or even a 1-year lease, right, now's the time to try and go ahead. You might actually find the house that you really could purchase it now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's right on point. You look at the people that missed out. They were getting frustrated. They had multiple offers, and now it's a much different climate. It's still a seller's market. The inventory is still, still on a seller's side as far as if you look at the numbers. We're at like a 2-month supply of inventory, depending on which county, Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, all pretty similar. But you're in a 2-month supply. You've got absorption rates dropping now into the 60s and 70s. And just 2 months ago we were at 1 month supply and in the 90s, and as far as the absorption rate.
Right. So we're seeing that slow down, and we're seeing a lot of people that have decided that, yes, I want to get back in the market. So we call them and remind them, because sometimes they may think it's the same. When they were actually looking at houses, and a lot of people, they couldn't afford to actually go above asking price. So now you may be able to, I don't know on your end if you're seeing that still happen, Brandon, or not, but I do think it's becoming more of a realistic market. You're right. We still have a shortage of inventory. We still need more homes to sell. Right. But the buyers they do have some choices now. So there's a lot of things they can do. Sellers, instead of lowering their sales price, let's say they went in and they were higher and they're finding that it's not moving or something like that, instead of lowering your sales price, go ahead and offer a 2-1 buy down to the buyer. Any buyer that comes in, that means their interest rate will be lower than what market rate is for 2 years. And sometimes that makes a difference on the comfortable, on the buyer feeling comfortable. And also the seller then doesn't, they're not actually reducing the sales price. They're actually kind of making an offer so they could actually sell the house quickly.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Diane, to do that and get creative. This is the time to get creative. And sellers, sometimes we're bonusing the buyer agents and doing different things. You are noticing also, I've had this happen recently, which is very frustrating when you have these buyers go to these types of antics. But I've had one where we're under contract and it was a cash deal, and they had on the contract, it was a 5-day escrow, before they made the deposit, and they didn't make the deposit. So they're tying the seller up 5 days and then don't make the deposit. So a lot of people it's kind of their version of retrading, tying up a property without the earnest money deposit. There's no recourse in that situation.
No, you're right, because you have your you have your time frame there. Yeah, that I don't know why anybody would do that. I don't understand that, but I guess there's I don't know what the reason would be that they would do that, because you're right, it actually puts the seller behind 5 more days, right?
Yeah.
So when other people then other people stop looking. That's too bad. We still have the cash guarantee, where we actually guarantee that we will close on time. If the buyer loses their job, which in this market could actually happen,
yep.
the buyer loses their job, they go out and buy a car, they don't have their money, they spend it for down payment or whatever reason, we'll actually buy that house, or we actually pay the seller $10,000. So we still have that program available. We've actually partnered with Ribbon recently,
yep.
And I can always send you that information. And that is... that's more of, I can see that one working when, let's say, a seller, you have a house to sell and you want to make an offer on another house, they'll actually buy your house, or they'll actually buy the new house you want to buy, and then while you try to sell your old house. So that is one of their programs that they actually offer. They have a couple other programs that help with a shortage in case the appraisal comes in low. But I don't know if that still happens sometimes, but it depends on the property. So there's a lot of options out there right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Diane. Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. Diane's longtime friend of the program. She's a regional manager for a top 5 lender in the country, and helping homeowners navigate the refinance market. There might be some opportunities still there. It's kind of dried up a little bit. Purchases, of course, on the purchasing side, buying, selling. And then also you think about the rent versus own, Diane. We talk a lot about that. It's kind of a drum we've been beating. But, too many people are still renting.
Oh, yeah, and they're still increasing prices. I just had a young man call me and say, hey, my rent is $1,350. My apartment that I've lived in for I forget how many years, like 4 years. They've just sold it, the apartment complex, and now they're coming in and renovating it, and they're telling my rent's going to go up, and it's going to go up quite a bit. They haven't given me the actual amount, but I have to move and I have to be out within like 30 days so that so they can remodel.
Wow. Yeah, that's a tough situation to be in. I mean, if you're a renter and you're in those situations, you really are only protected by what's in writing on the lease, and a lot of times they have a 30 to 45 day, basically, hey, get out clause. It's like if we sell it, we transfer the deed, whatever it is, you've got to be out. Can you imagine, piling that on to an already busy, I think about sometimes the single parents out there. My heart goes out to those single mothers that, the husband left or never became a husband, whatever the situation. But those are real life situations that could happen.
Yeah, and for the nurses, firefighters, police officers, medical workers, all of those out there, we still have the program through the state that you can get up to 5% of your loan amount actually as a second mortgage. So, up to $25,000. So it's available. So if people are listening, that's one way especially for those single mothers. A lot of times they're nurses, and they're police officers, or they're firefighters, or they work for a doctor's office, or something like that. It's a pretty extensive program. It covers a lot of different people. So I forget. We have to look every time because it's like several.
Yeah.
Several. There's very few that is not covered, actually. And it's a program if you're a first-time home buyer. And if you're not a first-time home buyer, Fairway has a program for the same thing, but it's a $1,500 credit at closing costs for those folks. So So, we're doing that for the same group of folks. We actually did that program before the state one came out, but the state one is called a Home for Heroes, and Fairways is called American Frontline Workers. So we're trying to help all the frontline workers, trying to get people into homes. Interest rates, even though they went up, they are still not terrible. They're not back, they're not in the threes like they were earlier, in the year. But they are still decent, and you still can actually buy a home. So, it's maybe that you're buying a little less of a home than you were a year ago, but you still can purchase one.
Yeah, and that's the thing I keep reminding people of too is the rates are still relatively good. I mean, it's been maybe not a 40-year low like it used to be, but yeah, you're still at what, a 10, 15, 20-year low.
Yeah, it's still very low, and it's I've been in the business forever. And it's very good. Even now, I know that the media likes to make it sound like it's they make it sound worse than it is.
Anyway, they sell doom and gloom, it seems.
Yeah, but interest rates are still very, very positive, and and if I were a renter, I definitely would go ahead and take advantage of one of these programs and actually start the process. Fairway offers a credit. It's called a credit tool. It's not a credit repair, but we have an internal bunch of underwriters. What they do is they'll come in and they'll tell you, what do you do to improve your credit? They're not going to do the repair for you,
right,
but they will tell you how to actually improve it. So, there's really no reason not to actually get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out to the hotline, 813-917-1894. We'll put you in touch with Diane Vance and her team. You can text rent versus own as well if you want to get a rent versus own analysis. Let's say you're paying $1,500 a month. We can break that down for you and show you what you could be building up in equity, saving, building up in terms of tax reductions as well, tax benefits. Of course, the appreciation that you're going to see. There's so many reasons why you want to get out of renting and get into home ownership, and it may not be a 2 or 3 month deal. It might be a 6 month type deal, 1 year. But rent versus own analysis. Reach out, 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. We'll be right back. More with Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage, current state of the housing market. We're going to talk about move-up buyers, some opportunities out there, and maybe a little bit about investors as well. Coming up with Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage, plus our feel-good story of the day. California rescuers save family with baby stranded for 3 days in Tahoe National Forest. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, in studio with Martine Gramatica, Gramatica, that is, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl winner. Lifeguard Imaging, lifeguardimaging.com, saving lives through early detection.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. Yes, that's what we're doing at Lifeguard Imaging. You come in asymptomatic, and that's what we do. You're being proactive. You're coming in. We do a scan from the neck to the pelvis. It's a full body scan. It's a 3D image of every organ, and that's where 90% of the deadliest cancers are, in our mid-region. So we can see everything. But for your listeners, we have a real good special. We have a $599 value, absolutely complimentary. They can come in for a coronary artery scan, which will give you their calcium score, awesome. 100% complimentary for your people.
Very cool. Hey, take them up on that offer, 813-917-1894. Call or text, complimentary scan, 813-917-1894, and check them out online, lifeguardimaging.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at ConsumerQB.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win. Also, we'd like to tell you something positive every day in our feel-good story.
Tell me something good.
All right, so you got a family of 4 that was rescued last week after getting stranded for 3 days in a steep canyon in a densely forested and remote part of California's Tahoe National Forest, authorities said. 2 adults, a child, and an infant had hiked to Fiddle Creek near Indian Valley when the mother suffered heat exhaustion and was unable to hike out. After 3 days, the husband hiked out alone where he called for help. Rescuers learned the family on Thursday evening and set out to search. The father led deputies to his family, who were found approximately 2,500 feet down the canyon in what officials described as some of the steepest terrain in western Sierra County. Nevada County search and rescue teams arrived and escorted the father, child, and infant up through the terrain to their vehicle, while other personnel stayed with the mother until there was enough daylight for a helicopter to hoist her out of the canyon to safety. And there you have it. Feel good story of the day. Family is saved in California. So I don't know why they were out in the hiking with an infant like that, but it's in crazy terrain, it seems. But anyways, there you have it. We got Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage, on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Talking about current state of the housing. I want to play a quick clip here as well about potential for foreclosure. I know the Inflation Reduction Act that was just recently passed. You see companies like Ford and Amazon, other companies laying off, getting ready for those corporate taxes to be raised. And of course, they're going to pass that along to consumers, but they're also laying off people. But I'm going to play a quick clip here about looming foreclosures.
Let's also remember, according to Census Bureau report, we talked about this last week on your show, according to Census Bureau report, of Americans who are behind right now, who did not pay their rent or their mortgage, and that's over 10 million total Americans, 40% of them, over 5 million, believe they are going to be evicted or foreclosed upon in the next 2 months. Steve, those are depression-type numbers. When you combine that information from consumers, from renters and homeowners, when you combine that with this PMI data on services, and by the way, the United States is a services economy. I wish we were more industrial, but the reality is we're a services economy. And when services PMI crashes into the ditch like this, attention must be paid.
Yeah, so there you have it. There's your 5.4 million Americans behind on their rent or mortgage, and they are expecting to get foreclosed or evicted in the next 2 months. So kind of interesting numbers when you look at that on a macro. Of course, that's not Florida numbers, that's national numbers. But your reaction there, Diane Vance?
Yeah, and it sort of was an eventual situation when you had people that, they didn't make their payments during COVID, which, some people, that was the only option. And some companies would work with folks, and most of them did. But then if you lose your job on top of it, and if, let's say, you financed and increase your payment for, the next 12 months or even at the end or something like that, then what happens a lot of times is that eats away at your equity and people just give up.
Right.
And renting is a very scary thing. That is, if they're behind on their rent, that's even scarier than your mortgage. Hopefully we have all learned a lesson. And, from the last, when we had a lot of foreclosures, the good thing is that, they're saying that we have a lot of equity in a lot of homes. So hopefully the foreclosure situation will not get as bad as what it was in the past. But when you have people with inflation and losing their jobs, just like you talked about, these companies, if they're laying off people, then a lot of people don't have a choice. It's a choice of, do I feed my family? Do I pay my mortgage, or do I pay it late? And then what happens is it just escalates and escalates. So I can see where, I can see it.
Yeah, the snowball is happening, and it's happening in not only evictions but also layoffs. People are getting laid off. If they haven't gotten laid off yet, they're going to with this Biden economy and the Inflation Reduction Act that seems to be doing the opposite of that. It's increasing. You're putting more gasoline on the fire by spending more money. It seems like every few days we're spending money. We're sending billions of dollars over to Ukraine. Well, I'm sorry, I feel for them, but I worry more about our border than the Ukraine border. So. So Diane Vance here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, Fairway Independent Mortgage. And, when you look at the overall landscape, especially here in Tampa Bay and in South Florida, the Gulf Coast region that we are blessed to be living in, we still got it pretty good here.
Oh yeah, we're very fortunate. Matter of fact, what I just heard, the most millionaires moved to Florida in the last 2 years than any other state. I forget how many the numbers, but we were like, I forget, it was a lot.
That's
and
cool.
More than Texas or any of those. And which helps our economy. I mean, we're still fairly prices are fairly decent compared to the rest of the country. I mean, if you go to San Diego or if you go to New York or Boston or someplace like that, your average prices are a lot higher than they are here. So while the prices of home have increased, we're still pretty decent.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's still opportunities out there as well. We talked about it before where, especially for move up buyers, let's say somebody has a home in the 250 to 350 range. They've been living in for 5-10 years and they say, hey, we've put a little bit of money back in savings. Maybe they got a pay increase or they finished up that degree and now they started their own business. They're ready to buy an $800,000 home. Talk about that dynamic, Diane, and how that can play into their favor for move up buyers.
Oh yeah, so we know that that's a popular price range still. I mean that that 350 range, 400,000 even is very popular still. So that will actually, you just take your difference because they probably actually paid. I don't know what the it depends on when they bought it, but if they've had it for a few years, they definitely have some equity built in, so they can go ahead and either put it up for sale. Or they could do the program I was just talking about where, they come in and buy the house and while they're trying to sell their house and rent the new house until, from the actual folks that buy it. And they can actually still move into a home. And you can just take that down payment, just take it from that and into the new home. So you're, depending on what your interest rate was, I'm actually surprised that the interest rates that I'm talking to people that are actually selling their house now are almost the same as what they are right now. Because what happens is they knew they were going to sell their house probably for the last 3 years. They knew they were going to move up into something. Mm-hmm. So they decided to wait. So their interest rates are almost what they were when they actually first bought their home.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a kind of a, one for the other. And just take your equity, put it down, or pay off all your debt, and then put down your down payment. That's even a better situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Reducing the debt, attacking the highest rate cards. By the way, $46 billion in new credit card debt in Q2 is the latest number. So that could be another ripple that we see with this, this Biden economy. People are charging more things to be able to stave off the inflation. Like you mentioned, buy their groceries, buy their fuel for their vehicles, get to work and back. So they're charging things up. Will that result in another bust of credit cards leading to credit scores?
Yeah, that actually is a I did read those numbers, and that is but what do people do? I mean, that's right. They have no other option other than to do that until the inflation actually is under control, where supplies, whatever the reason is, until it's actually under control, food prices, people have to eat. They have to feed their kids. They have to feed their family. I mean, it's a snowball situation, and hopefully we will get out of this soon. And it was bound to happen, and we just have one thing after the other that has just caused all of this to happen. And but I tell people all the time that we've had things happen in the past in the world, and we've actually been okay. So eventually we will be okay. So we'll get back to normal, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll fight through it. If they can stop spending money up there for a month or two, maybe just give a couple months off and stop spending money in D.C. But it's good stuff.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Where do you want folks to find you, Diane?
Just give me a call, 727-647-8199, or go to my website, DianeVance.com, and you can ask for a pre-qualification, or I can tell you rent versus own. If you're paying rent, I can tell you how much you can buy.
There you go. DianeVance.com. Check her out online, and you can reach out, of course, to the show hotline as well, 813-917-1894. We'll put that rent versus own analysis together for you, 813-917-1894, DianeVance.com. Always a pleasure, Diane. Thank you so much.
All right, well, you have a great week.
You as well. All right, another great show. I want to thank Alex Lima, BlackBelt Fitness, as well as Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage, and of course all of our producers, our folks behind the scenes putting the show together, listeners, viewers, everybody that supports the program. God bless you. Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate it. Please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another and be a force for good in the community. We'll see you next time. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.